Hi, welcome to the next installment of the 1938 build. It's a full build project. I think we're up to, this might be part 29. Wow, I could be wrong. Kind of would ruin this whole intro, but in any case, it's been quite a quite a few videos. And we have a first on this episode. We have an unboxing. Some parts that we've been waiting for have come in, and JB's not even sure what all's in the boxes. We don't know which parts of which orders here, but we'll bring you along here and let's have some fun with it. Okay, so JB, you got some boxes here.
Yes, we do.
And
finally.
Part of the challenge, you say finally, and that's right.
Yes.
Anytime you're building a project,
Right.
there's always, even when you don't plan for it, or if you think you planned ahead for it, there's always some waiting that's going to happen.
Right.
Especially these days with delays in the world. So we're talking about the 38 that's being built.
Yes.
And we've been waiting for an update on the project, and obviously these boxes might represent something about that.
Yeah, some of the, of course, the 38 is going to get a very much different, complete suspension. So what we're going to, firstly, we have to get all the parts in hand.
Right.
We have to double check that they in fact sent us what we were asking for.
Okay.
And we've done this a few times now, so we're getting comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And we've had some out on the road now for a while. We have some cars overseas that seem to be behaving themselves. So we're confident that we've got the system worked out.
Okay.
Where we've got a nice blend between the old and the new. We don't want to get rid of anything that still works, but we want to make the cars more drivable, more reliable, and we don't know where they're going to go. I mean, we've got one in New Zealand. I mean, if he couldn't find parts for it, looking for Zephyr parts is an entirely different thing than finding GM drums and brakes and that sort of thing, which is what we're using.
Yeah, even in the U.S. it's hard to get these parts. Obviously.
Yeah, it is, but we want to look to the future where brakes wear out. And so what we do with the cars is we not only document what's underneath the car in very specific terms. We don't just say it's got a late model front end or rear end. That doesn't do you a whole lot of good. We want to actually give them the source of the part number. Okay. We want to give them the interchangeability, so if they're going to go to Napa in their community, they can go say, look, this is for 2005 Camaro, it's the same thing. Right. So, you know, this is all new equipment.
Well, and you said in a previous episode that you take this job seriously from the standpoint of these cars, the way they're put back together,
right,
going to live a long life.
They're going to live a long life.
Someone 20 years from now,
right,
that might be a couple owners down, as long as the documentation gets passed on, they have a fighting chance of still getting parts.
Well, our big concern is the people that paid us very well to do these cars, right, are going to have something that they can look to, right, irrespective of whether or not we're involved or not. We want them to be able to know what's in their car in specifics, not just it's a late model rear end. That doesn't buy a whole lot. Right. It's this width. It's got these parts in it. They're all new. Here's where we bought it. Right. Here's where you could buy a replacement, and more importantly, like I say, the ordinary things that wear out, brake pads. Yeah, wear
items are still going
to exactly the discs, things that are going to be necessarily and ordinary. We need to be able to tell them what the interchange is on that part, so if they can, like I said, if you can call your local parts store, say, look, I got a part number this, it also fits a late model car, and so they can do an interchange on it.
That's wonderful. That's a great service.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's just part of the of the deal.
So what's in these boxes? Do we know?
Well, we've sourced parts from Speedway. We've sourced parts from our rear end guy in the Midwest, who we love, who does beautiful work. There are some Speedway items. We look at the people that sell the best stuff for a fair price, and Speedway is really good about having certain things that we're needing for this particular project, and this finally showed up. This was ordered a while ago, and you know, in the old days you could just order it and 2 days later it showed up. Yeah. Now it might be 2 weeks, it might be 2 months.
Right.
So the premium is on plan ahead, as with the chrome and some of the other long lead items.
Sure.
You have to concern yourself with that as well, because what happens is unless you have the parts you need, the poor guy is trying to put the car together saying, where's this, where's this, where's that, you know.
Right.
You can't put a car together without 100% of the parts being present.
That's right.
So in this case, we're looking at stuff from Speedway. Speedway is a really good source of all kinds of things. I just noticed that we got some, we got a couple of bearings here. I haven't opened these boxes. I didn't order them, so I'm just I'm going to be just as surprised as everybody. That's what's in this box. Hopefully it's not for a Volvo or something, which does happen.
Or for a boat.
Well, you know, God knows.
Right.
That's another thing that's really hampering us sometimes, is the people on the other end don't seem to be as knowledgeable in some cases, and you end up getting stuff for the wrong cars, and so now you got to go send it back and start over. It's kind of frustrating, but in general, we deal with companies that we've dealt with over the many years, and we want reliability, we want high quality. Okay, so these are our brakes for the 38.
Brake caliper.
Yep, brake caliper, brand new.
Wow, that's pretty stout too.
Yeah, this is a really stout piece, as you notice, and very well made. We don't look for the least expensive one, we look for the best one, because the difference between best and least is usually not worth fooling with.
Right.
Having problems with something at this level, you don't need that.
No.
Just step up a little bit. If one of them's $100 and the other one's 120, just buy the 120.
Get the good one. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, the price will tell you. In a lot of cases, if you're not knowledgeable about something, there's a reason why something's more expensive. The market forces people to price their stuff according to what it will do, not just, I'd like to get this, I'd like to get that.
I mean, you always want to be careful with money, but at the same time, racing to the bottom might be a
really bad
idea.
place to be cheap.
Especially with brakes.
Yeah, brakes.
That's
we
a
take
safety
brakes
item.
real seriously.
Yeah.
Because they save people's lives or put them in jeopardy. Okay, so this is the disc brake unit. Remember, we got front and rear disc brakes.
Right.
So I'm not really clear. This looks like the rear unit, but it probably is the rear unit. Okay, and then we got a seal here that came with it.
Okay.
We probably got the other side here, which is just the opposite side. So we got some other things that were ordered. This one is stuck to the bottom of the box. That's a little strange.
Got glued down.
Yeah, well. Okay, also from Speedway, obviously. The people at Speedway, in my experience, is that they've been doing it a long time.
Yep.
They hire people that are really knowledgeable because they deal with a lot of different kind of people. And most all of them are knowledgeable. And if you get some guy on the phone who doesn't know what he's talking about, I mean, at Speedway or at the vendor, it's a real problem. I mean, who's gonna help you if everybody's stupid?
Right.
That doesn't work.
You need knowledgeable people.
Okay, so these obviously for the brake plates.
Okay.
All right, so we got 2 of those.
Very good.
Got some bearings and that sort of thing. We want to be careful we don't get everything all into different weird places.
Right.
This looks like something else yet again. I did not order this stuff, so I'm having fun just like the rest of you.
This is fun for you as it is for
It is. I mean, until you pull out something for, you know, a Spano Sueze or something. I just gave this big talk on how competent they are, and you wait and see. That'll come back to haunt me. Okay, these are the rear end. This is for the spring, rear spring, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Okay.
All
also
right.
from Speedway.
Sure.
They got the other one there.
Looks like quality stuff.
Yeah, remember we're going to be putting a whole new rear end, a whole new spring, all new brakes. We're going to do some adapters on this particular car to go back to the 38 style wheel, which is an artillery wheel. And we're kind of committed to that. Most of the stuff that you're going to buy in the aftermarket is going to be generic, and that by generic I mean they're not going to go back to 1938. They're going to start at 39, which is when a Commons everyday wheel
I hadn't thought about that.
came into practice.
But that's
so
right. So 38 is the end of an era. Yeah, right.
Artillery wheels were no longer available. That's true of not just Ford and Lincoln, but also General Motors. I know the Buicks 1937 Buick, if you noticed.
Yeah.
A little earlier, they went to a solid wheel in 1937.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a variation there, but that's about the end of this artillery wheel.
Okay.
Unfortunately, and artillery wheels just happen to be a lot prettier in my mind.
Yeah, they're very
so
cool.
we want to convert the 38 back to a hub that will accept a 37 and 8 hubcap, which is a stainless artillery cap, which we have on my car right now.
Right, it's a
and we
beautiful
can show you that
thing.
right now. Let me show you how that looks. I don't think we've actually featured this yet.
Well, yeah, there is such a unique look to that.
Yeah, well, you notice that this cap trails each spoke in the wheel. This is a really a great way to go if you can't come up with the uber rare caps that were offered, which are just about unobtainable. But they look almost identical to that.
Yeah.
If you notice, this says V8. Okay.
Right.
So that's going to get changed.
Yeah, that's going to get modified.
We haven't really decided exactly how we're going to do that yet. I want to kind of take some time and think about it.
Right.
But when we're done, it'll say V12.
Do I remember that you have a ring on the other side, a trim ring, or not?
Yes, we do, actually.
Is that an option?
No, yeah, it is. And I think it's probably something we want to do. And I spoke to the customer about this.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Because it does add a little bit of money. And
wow, but to me, that's just amazing.
Yeah, it's just great. And the other thing you notice right away is these cars have full-time skirts.
Right.
So you only see 2 of them. So if you wanted to cheat, well,
you might be able to get away with.
You might get away with it because you really can't hardly see that back wheel.
Maybe
but that's a great combination.
Yeah, it
really
is.
dresses the car up. Cars are very clean and streamlined and simple. And a little bit of eyeball does not hurt them at all.
Right.
You know, you can overdress a car pretty easily. We don't want to do that, but the 38 can handle it.
So she might be.
Where is our cutting device?
We had something.
It was here, and
well, we're going to pause this video for a second and find it.
We'll find it. All right, now here we have another box that we don't really know what's in it.
Okay.
Speedway is a source of not just suspension parts, but also speed equipment, ergo the name, and they have thousands of different things. And another great thing about them is they're competitively priced, but their availability and their stock is really quite impressive.
Right on.
There's all the bearings. And the brake lines, of course, for the disc brakes.
Right.
So all these pieces, we're not going to take these out because
leave that in the bag.
we want to leave these in one spot. And this brings up another subject that's really important. When you have something for a particular car, if you're working on a number of cars like we are, you desperately have to get this. We have an actual box, a big box, where the 38 stuff goes as soon as it gets here. As soon as it's categorized, we make sure everything is in fact what we ordered and what we paid for. Then it's going to go into the 38 box because
don't want anything lost.
Or the car.
Right.
We actually sometimes put stuff in the trunk of the car, even on the floorboard, but most definitely do not have stuff scattered all over the place. There's nothing worse than wasting time looking for something that you know you have.
So all our friends watching, even though we're kind of scattering this out on the table right now, we will promise to put this all away in order.
This is going to go in his box.
Yeah.
And but Jim Cathy, our suspension guy, has been doing suspensions for about 40 years.
Yep.
Is first of all going to inventory and see that Speedway, in fact, gave us what we asked for and paid for.
Okay.
And then if there's some kind of a return, then it's going to have to go home again. That's very rare with them, but it does happen.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go to this next box.
What's in this next box here?
Next box is also from Speedway, as you can tell.
I noticed it was just a little heavier.
Now, earlier, remember, we got some stuff from the rear end manufacturer.
Right.
Then we have some ladder bars that are on order. Those will be from Pete and Jake's.
Okay.
Pete and Jake's been around a long, long time. They bought out Pete and Jake, which is Pete Japurz's old place. Pete later started SoCal Speed Shop, or the reinvigorated version of it in Southern California, and also around the country. And those stores are still with us. Pete, we lost Pete a couple years back, but his hard work lives on.
Right.
And those stores are still open.
Quite a legacy there.
It really is. I mean, Alex started a SoCal Speed Shop, and they were good friends. I think Alex has got to be pushing 100 years old, if he's still with us. Alex Zidius started SoCal Speed Shop back in the, I believe it was the 30s.
Oh, wow.
And was still around, and was friends with Pete, and Pete said, hey, let's start it over again, let's get it back going again. And they did, and it was hugely successful and a really great source for certain things. So here's our disc brakes.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Right, already
brand
mounted
new.
On the hub.
You can see they've already been scored. Okay.
Yep, beautiful.
Yeah, it's really beautiful stuff.
Wow.
I mean, new stuff, if it's correctly sourced, is so much less expensive. I mean, we need to spend a minute talking about that.
Yeah.
Why don't we fix the Zephyr rear ends and the Zephyr brakes and all that? Yes, I drive a 38. It has brakes. Takes more attention, takes more expertise to keep mechanical brakes working properly. You can make them work. If you jump into a car, we have a 39 here that has 4-wheel disc brakes on it, and you jump in my 38, there's no question about what that car stops a lot better than my car. You kind of drive differently with one of these cars. You don't run right up behind somebody that's going 75 miles an hour.
Right.
You give yourself some room to stop, because you're always thinking, I may have to stop. And I had a panic stop the 38 the other day. I mean, it was very, very scary what happened. This guy pulled right out in front of me, and I almost pushed my foot through the firewall.
Right.
The car stopped, barely. I mean, I couldn't even see the distance between his car and my car. That's how close he came.
Wow.
He just pulled 90 degrees to me and went right across my front.
Wow.
And all I could do is stand on the brake. I locked them all 4 up and slid and kind of went sideways a little bit. Or I would have been really ended very badly. So brakes are becoming increasingly important in the modern world, because we've got more people sharing the road. We've got a lot of people that probably shouldn't be driving.
And plus, I mean, the modern system is available. Like, there's not a reason not to do it from the standpoint.
No, there really isn't any
available.
reason. I was about to get to that. If I take a 39 rear end or a 38 rear end right out of the Lincoln, and I spend a certain amount of time and a certain amount of money on it, I'm going to spend more money, not less money, than a brand new setup.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
Less safe and less reliable.
Less safe. It might be original, but who's
less
really
easy to
counting?
maintain over years.
Exactly.
All those
you go
things.
down to the Napa store and you get brake shoes, you get brake drums, you get all the things that you may or may not be able to get in the future.
Which kind of supports the idea of it being enjoyed 20 years from now instead of being stuck in a corner.
There's a complete reversal of people who say, look, I don't want this in my living room with a disco ball spinning on a table. I want to get it out.
Right.
I want to go down to the corner and hang out with my buddies, or I want to go across town, or I want to go down 100 miles away, and I want the car to make it.
Right.
Without overheating, without having brake problems and this problems and that problems.
Yeah.
So the emphasis is now back on driving them. And ironically, it actually saves time and money.
Yeah.
Because the rarer the car is, the harder the parts are to get.
Yep.
Some of the things for a Zephyr rear end are just not available anymore.
Yeah.
So if you told me I want to go to Pebble Beach with the best example in the world, I could do it, but it's going to cost a lot more.
Yeah.
Because I've got to source all that material, and it's disappearing as we sit here and have this conversation.
Well, this is a real fun little unboxing video that turned into an update on that 38 project.
We're really great. We're really tickled to see this, because now the 38 can go up on the lift. We can start removing all of the old stuff and replacing it with the new stuff.
Start putting the new stuff on.
And it'll change pretty rapidly.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, JB.
You bet.
Appreciate it.